Rimuru Tempest didn't want power. It came anyway. This video is about the specific mechanism that made both of those things true at the same time, and why it matters more than any story about ambition you've ever been told. Here's what's interesting about how Rimuru starts. He doesn't arrive in this new world with a plan. No goal to become the strongest, no strategy for accumulating power, no hierarchy to try climb. He arrives as a slime. The weakest people form in a world that measures everything by strength. And his significant decision isn't to find a way to get stronger, it's to make a friend. Not passive about power, he uses it when he needs to. The specific claim is this: he never made it the goal. Every decision was in service of something else. The power accumulated as a consequence of that. Beldora, an ancient dragon, one of the most powerful beings in the world, imprisoned for 300 years because no one was strong enough to free him, and no one powerful enough wanted to. Rimuru names him, offers friendship, chooses coexistence. Now, before we go any further, there's someone else in this world you need to know about. Clayman, a demon lord, someone who has spent his existence making power the explicit target of every decision. He manipulates other demon lords. He positions himself carefully. He treats every relationship as a resource to be managed. He is, by convention logic, doing everything right. He's optimizing directly for the thing he wants. That logic isn't unreasonable. It's actually the model most people default to. Not necessarily in demon lord politics, but in the shape of it. Identify what you want, pursue it directly, treat everything and everyone as either useful or not useful toward the goal. It's rational. It's measurable. It's what ambition looks like in practice. And here's what Rimuru does instead. The goblins, some of the weakest creatures in the world, zero strategic value if power is the goal. Zero leverage, zero advantage. Rimuru names them anyway. Here's what naming does in Rimuru's world. It's not just a title. Naming transfers part of Rimuru's own power, his magicules, to the named. It's an investment that comes out of him directly. Every single naming decision Rimuru makes is a choice to give something away rather than accumulate it. Clayman accumulates. Every relationship is an asset to be leveraged. Rimuru distributes. Every relationship is a person to be invested in. And what's strange, what this video is actually built around, is that by the end of the series, Rimuru has more of what Clayman was chasing than Clayman ever did. Not as a feel-good narrative outcome, as a mechanically verifiable result. This is what Rimuru's first decision produced. Not because he planned it, because every subsequent decision ran on the same logic as the first one. The question this video is actually asking isn't whether Rimuru is a better person than Clayman. That's not interesting. The interesting question is why his model produced more of what Clayman was chasing than Clayman's own model did. And the answer to that question is mechanical, not moral. Here's what makes Clayman model look right on the surface. It's efficient. Every move has a clear purpose. Every relationship is evaluated for what it returns. There's no waste, no sentiment clouding the calculation. If power is the goal, treating everything as a means to that goal is just logic. And for a long time, it works. Clayman has power. He has influence. He has demon lords moving according to his plans. From the outside, his model looks like it's producing exactly what it's supposed to produce. But here's the specific thing that makes his system brittle. Every person in Clayman's system is there because of what Clayman has, not because of what Clayman is building. Think about what that means structurally. A system built around what you have requires you to keep having it. The moment your position weakens, the moment someone more powerful appears, the people in your system recalculate. They're not there for what you're building. They are there for what you can give them or what they're afraid you'll do to them. That's not loyalty. That's proximity to leverage. And a system built on proximity to leverage has one critical weakness. It can't survive contact with a system built on something else. Now look at what Rimuru's naming decision actually built. Every person Rimuru named chose to stay, not because of what Rimuru had, because of what he did for them specifically. He named them, strengthened them, chose their survival over his own accumulation. That's a different thing entirely. That's a system built on what someone believed in, not what they wanted from it. Watch what Clayman does with Milam. Milam Nava, one of the oldest and most powerful demon lords in existence, someone who has held power for thousands of years. Clayman treats her as a piece. He manipulates her emotions. He positions her where she's most useful to his plan. He never once considers her as a person whose investment he might actually want. That's not a strategic error. That's the model expressing itself as design. And here's where it becomes interesting. Because Rimuru meets Milam too. Same demon lord. One treated as a person, one treated as a piece. Look at which relationship Milam chooses when she actually has a choice. But here's the harder question, and it's the one this video is building toward. If Rimuru's model is structurally stronger, why? What is the specific mechanism that makes a community-built system more durable than a power-built system? Because relationships matter. Sounds like a moral claim, and we said the answer is mechanical, not moral. The mechanic is specific, and it shows up most clearly when the two systems meet directly. That's the Clayman confrontation, and what happens there tells you everything about why one of these models is built to last and one was always going to collapse. One system built on what people wanted from him, one built on what he did for them. When they meet directly, only one of those could hold. There's a moment in that time I got reincarnated as a slime that most analysis treats as a power scaling event. It isn't. It's a system stress test. On one side, Clayman and his pieces, demon lords he's positioned, allies he's leveraged, a system that looks formidable because of what he's accumulated around himself. On the other side, Rimuru and Tempest, people who named themselves after him, people who stayed because of what he built, not what he had. Look at who's standing with Clayman here. Not people who chose him, people he positioned, people who are there because of leverage, because he has something they want or something they fear. The moment that leverage disappears, the moment a more powerful option presents itself, that calculation changes. His system isn't built on loyalty, it's built on a calculation that can be recalculated. And now, look at what happens when the confrontation actually begins. Rimuru's named fight like they have something personal at stake. Because they do. Benimaru isn't fighting because Rimuru is powerful. He's fighting because this is his home, and these are his people. That's a different kind of fuel. Here's what happens to Clayman's pieces when the pressure arrives. They fold. Not because they're weaker, because the calculation changes, because the leverage shifts, because when a system is built on what can I get from this meets a system built on this is worth fighting for, the second system doesn't need to be stronger. It just needs to hold. Fobio, one of Clayman's positioned pieces, watch what happens to his calculation the moment Rimuru's actual power becomes undeniable. Clayman's system doesn't collapse because he loses a fight. It collapses because the foundation was always temporary. There's a version of you you've probably seen in practice. Not necessarily in combat, but the shape of it. A system built around one person's leverage that looks formidable from the outside. And then someone or something shifts the leverage. And you watch the pieces recalculate in real time. The people who were there for what the person had, not for what they were building. That recalculation is fast, and it's total. Now here's the hardest moment in this video's argument. When Rimuru's students were killed, when the people he had built something with were taken, he chose power. Deliberately, completely. He evolved to Demon Lord specifically to bring them back. If the argument is that Rimuru never wanted power, this moment seems to contradict it. But it doesn't contradict it. It's the clearest possible evidence of it. Because look at what he was optimizing for in that moment. Not dominance, not status, not the Demon Lord title itself. He wanted his people back. The power was the tool. His community was still the goal. Even at that moment of maximum power acquisition, the moment he became something vast, the thing he was pointing it at hadn't changed. His people, not his position. Look at what's still here after the confrontation. The community, the people he named, the relationships built on investment rather than leverage. Not intact, despite the confrontation, but stronger because of it. Clayman's system produced power that lasted until the leverage shifted. Rimuru's system produced something that gets stronger every time it's tested. And now the mechanism is visible, not as a moral lesson, not as a story about being a good person, as a specific, observable, repeatable result. The question is whether you can see it operating in the systems around you. Here's the mechanism in its most precise form. Power-oriented systems and community-oriented systems don't just produce different outcomes. They attract different people. A system built around the direct pursuit of power attracts people who want power. Not people who believe in what you're building, people who want what you have, or people who are afraid of what you will do if they don't cooperate. And that specific kind of person does a specific thing under pressure. They recalculate. A system built around genuine investment in the people in front of you attracts people who believe in what's being built. Not because you're powerful, because you did something real for them specifically. That's also a specific kind of person. And that specific kind of person does a specific thing under pressure. They hold. And here's what makes Rimuru so difficult to replicate. By just deciding to be nicer or more community-minded, the system he built wasn't a strategy. It was a consistent orientation. From the first decision, naming Veldora when he had nothing, to the Demon Lord evolution, choosing power as a tool for his people, every single choice pointed to that same direction. Not toward dominance, toward the person in front of him. He didn't build the most powerful system in the world by chasing power. He built it by consistently choosing the people in front of him over the power he could have taken from the situation. So here's what this video is actually handing you. Not a lesson, not a model to copy, a lens. The next time you're looking at a system, a team, an organization, a relationship structure, anything built around more than one person, you can ask one question. What kind of people is this attracting? People who want what it has, or people who believe in what it's building? Those two systems look identical from the outside when things are going well, but they look completely different the moment pressure arrives. Rimuru didn't want power. He kept choosing the people in front of him. The power was always going to come. Two systems, same world, one built on what people wanted from him, one built on what he did for them. Only one of those systems keeps compounding. If that lens landed, if you're already thinking about a system around you and which kind it is, there's something I want you to do before you close this video. We built a free anime archetype quiz that identifies your specific character based on how you actually operate. Not how you want to operate, how you currently operate. The reason it matters after this video, Rimuru's orientation isn't where everyone starts. Your archetype shows you exactly what kind of system you're currently building. And the most direct way to make it is the second kind. Not from Rimuru's starting point, from yours. Links in the description, and it takes 2 minutes. He arrived as a slime. He kept choosing the people in front of him. The power was never the point. Until next time, crew, under the glow of stars, we forge our future together. Captain Gio Bravo, signing off. Peace.